Take a Ride podcast. I'm your host here, Starks. You can find me on my Twitter handle. It's at Starks_industry. You can also find me on Instagram, One Closing Hero. I'm not here alone this evening, morning, afternoon, wherever you may be in the fantasy world. I got the combo guard running the two, Jacob, the White Knight. How you doing today, brother?
Yes, sir, brother. I'm doing well. Man, I'm safe today. You know, it snowed 16 inches overnight. So it's just, you know, for all of you Star Wars fans out there, it looked like Hoth. It was just intense. So, I mean, like, I'm glad to be safe, you know. Praise God, you know, like the whole town pretty much had a snow day. So, you know, it's pretty cool. So I'm doing well. Thank you.
Awesome, man. Bless the Lord. And not only him, but we have LT the Sage on the wing running the three. How you doing today, brother?
Doing good. 3 to the dome. What a blessed Tuesday it is to be with you fellas. I think it's Tuesday. Yeah, it's Tuesday.
It
must be. Ready to go ahead and, you know, look through tonight's games and go over some fantasy stuff, man. I'm ready.
Gosh, and before we start this episode, we're going to kind of just talk about, I think we're just going to highlight on players and kind of like, are we going to try to buy low or sell high on some of these players in the rankings currently right now? Because we have a low slate of games, which is good to hopefully we have the timer on the clock that we don't go into overtime. But, you know, to kind of go on this, before I actually go on this ISO here, off topic subject, you guys make sure you go to newlifefantasy.com, join our mailing list, join as a member on our website. It definitely helps us out. Check out the forums on our site. It's going to give you some news that's going to be interesting for you in that aspect. Make sure you guys give us a 5-star rating on our Take a Ride podcast. Write a review if you're an iTunes owner or just pretty much has an iPhone in particular. And also it's available in pretty much all podcast formats. And then check out the YouTube channel, New Life Fantasy Take a Ride. Make sure you guys sub-zero that button at the subscribe button. Hit that bell, that dinner time bell, so that way you can eat and enjoy what you're watching, and as well as comment below on anything that you guys want to see in the future episodes in particular, and go ahead and hit that thumbs up. So with that being said, I'm ready to take people on for a ride. And the thing I was going to say is, you know, I meant to actually mention this the other day. You know, I went to Chipotle the other day, and I was in line, and a gentleman, you know, he was kind of like fixing my bowl and burrito. I'm sure they got Chipotle over there, Jacob, in Colorado, or do they not, man?
Fun fact, this is where Chipotle was founded. So, yes, we do.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
There you go. Originated.
Okay. Right. So that only means I would have probably had better service there. So anyways, let me get to what's going on at hand. So I go up in the line. You know, typically the line is busy in Chipotle, but it really wasn't this day. And the guy serves me some meat and, you know, some rice and some meat. I'm like asking for chicken. I was like, you know, can I get, half chicken, half steak? That's like one of those, you know, gimmicks I'm sure people will know. But if you don't know, here's your little quick cheat code to get you a little extra meat if you want to save a little money, right? Instead of just doing double meat. So he gave me the wink, you know, the winking the gun like everything is cool, right? I was like, all right. So I'm just thinking like, all right, man, this guy's going to hook me up. He's like, he kept saying, I got you. I was like, oh, okay, cool. I just got done working out, feeling good. And, you know, he kept putting like, you know, I got you, man. I was like, oh, okay. He put a little bit more. And then, you know, I'm just thinking I'm getting at the end of the line. And then, you know, he just kind of like walks in the back. And the person ringing me up was like, it's going to be 15 or 17 something. Because I guess that was for the double guac. And then at the same time, it's almost like I was charged for like double steak with like chicken. So it was weird. So I was just like, this dude got me.
Goodness.
So I was just like, hey man, this dude gave me the wink and gun. Like that's always automatic. But anyways, this is a basketball podcast. The guy took me for a ride. Is the bottom line there. He took me for a ride. So good job to you, Chipotle brother. Hopefully I see you again, and I'll just be like, man, you really officially took me for a ride. But anyways, let's go ahead and get to the buy low, sell high candidates in that aspect. And I'll actually pass you the ball to run that offense there, Jacob, on a player that you want to at least buy low, or if you want to ask us to sell high on, or either or.
Absolutely. So there is a player who I wanted to say that Kemba Walker, he's probable for tomorrow, which praise God, he isn't going to miss a ton of time. He's only going to wind up missing one game, which is great. I'm glad he's healthy. That's wonderful. Now, as the owner, if I was a Kemba owner, I would be a little bit scared that he's going to re-aggravate something or just fall into those symptoms again. Like, that was a pretty hard fall, and I'm really surprised that he's coming back this early. Now, I'm going to pass the ball to LT. What do you think? If you were, would you look to try to sell high, or would you look to try to buy low, or would you just look to stay put?
On Kemba Walker?
Yeah.
I would stay put with Kemba right now. The opportunity is still there for him, even though the injury did look bad. Looks like he avoided anything serious. It wasn't a foot injury, ankle injury. It was a neck injury, so probably dealing with more of that concussion type of symptoms. And so that usually, wears away with time. Now, hopefully he doesn't have any, concussion issues moving forward in the season. But he was doing pretty well on that Boston Celtics team. Surprisingly enough, that Boston Celtics team has been actually doing really well this year. Without Kyrie. Surprise enough, passing the rock more.
Exactly.
Surprise. And getting everyone involved, even with Gordon Hayward going down, they're still being competitive. And I had to eat my crow on G. Hay earlier in this year. He was actually contributing, he was contributing a lot. I hold pat with Kemba. Now, if you could try to pry him away from a concerned owner, right. Especially in redraft leagues, by all means, offer him one of our, what we used to call those 2-for-1 deals. Yeah. Get two of your moderate players, maybe kind of side bench players, that has been doing well in the last week while Kemba's been out. That's how you do it, because as owners we have recency bias, right? Kemba hasn't done anything in the last week or two. You get two people that have been doing decent, that you're kind of worried about their long-term impact. You go ahead and you flip them for Kemba. That sounds like a good idea to me in redraft formats anyway. But I'll go ahead and pass the rock over to Starks. What do you think about Kemba, man?
Yeah, surprisingly, I'm with you on this. I can't believe that, but I would actually stay put if I had him on my team. If I didn't have him on my team, I would actually try to buy low on him. And I know Jacob was a little concerned with the concussion symptoms in that aspect. And it almost feels it is soon, but I think he's going to be fine. And honestly, this year, Kemba Walker, when he's been on the floor, I know a lot of people are like, he's going to take this massive dip down in Boston versus when he was in Charlotte last year. But honestly, this year he's played a little bit better. Now, obviously, his rankings has dropped because he's been missing time. He started out actually kind of slow this season, but he picked up pretty fast in that aspect. And in Boston, it's him and Jason Tatum, and then obviously a collective of other strong guys there. And I think it's fair to say that Marcus Smart, he really needs some more love in Boston, man. And I actually even respect him on a different level, because I don't know. This is kind of like more of an NBA logical sense, a personal opinion. I don't know if anybody's seen it. I think was it at the Denver game. The crowd was like someone from the crowd was saying some ignorant stuff to him when like by the bench. I don't know if you guys remember hearing about that at all. No. Okay. So essentially, I forgot the exact words, what the rant was from the fans, but they were just like, "Just sit down there, boy," or something like that. And I'm paraphrasing it. And it was really bad. And the thing is, what we have to still respect the NBA players, because, of course they get paid well, but I think what people get a little or people in the world will be like, "Oh, well, these NBA players are getting paid so much, they could take anything." But honestly, like they have livelihoods too, right? So they have to be professional in the aspect that they can't react, because if they react, then of course they're going to get in trouble first. And if you've seen them on the streets, that person or the fan wouldn't do something like that in person versus, doing that in the NBA game. So that's an unfortunate thing. Right. But what I was trying to say is Marcus Smart, he was very professional, and how he sounded was very respectable. It made me just put him on a different level of respect in that aspect, because even when he was speaking to the reporters and stuff of that nature, he kept it real and honest, but at the same time, he kept his cool, and he was, very modest about it. And that's why I respected him even more. So, yeah, the dude, obviously, he's a grinder, too, when he's on the court. So that's the ISO right there. But I want to actually bring up a player here. And I think, honestly, in this episode, too, kind of towards like another segment, I think it's only fair to have the eating crow section, because I think that would actually be good for this episode for us. Some of us are going to be eating our crow on some players that we were pretty much wrong on and what we thought this year. But one player I want to mention here is actually, no, I got to save that for later. No, I guess I can still put it here now because it seems like it's more of a crow player. But I want to ask you guys this. Do you guys think this is a buy low situation, or are you staying put, or are you going to try to sell them? And the guy that I want to bring up is Dejounte Murray, Pomade's Murray. So I will pass you the ball, Jacob. What is your thoughts on that? Are you staying put, selling him, or what are you doing there?
If I owned Murray, I wouldn't look to sell him, because what would you get back for him? Because he is at an all-time low. You would just be getting pennies. And perhaps you are fed up and you're just like, you know what? Patty Mills is outplaying him. Derek White is getting more minutes than him. It's like it doesn't look good. And for a Spurs team that's struggling, his outlook doesn't look promising. So if you are an owner, stay put. If you have rode it for this long, I wouldn't blame you if you cut him for a hot free agent, honestly. And that's hard to say, because at the beginning of the year, I was really liking him for his steals and for his points. And he's having a lot of rest days. So I didn't draft him anywhere, because they told us that he was going to rest a lot because of his injury. So I stayed away. So for me, as someone who doesn't own him, I'm not looking to trade for him unless the owner is willing to take the end of my bench guy, which it wouldn't make sense, because he should just cut him. So I would just probably wait it out and wait for that owner to cut him. And I also say this because I'm going to pass the ball to LT. He actually cut him in our listener league. Isn't that right, LT?
That is correct. I sure did.
Right. Sure did. He has that conviction. So I'll let you have the ball here, LT, and let us know why you cut him.
I'm actually, for the listeners right now, I appreciate that, White Knight, by the way. For the listeners, I got some stats here to show you. My man Dej Loaf, or Murray's Pomade, man, I'll tell you what, that pomade wasn't keeping my hair down, because these type of stats right here, so tough, exactly, so tough to continue in a points and redraft format. It's so tough to stomach, and it's not so much that if he didn't have that minute restriction, I might actually have kept with him, because he had the potential to continue to make more minutes. The Spurs look like they're not a good team later on down the season. He might get some run, right? But with that minute restriction, it looks like they're holding him pat. They feel like he may be their future. And so they're being very kids' gloves with him right now. And I don't need kids' gloves right now. I need wins, right? And fantasy perspectives.
Yeah.
And so, especially if there's someone available, and in my circumstance, there's Kobe White, right? And they're doing the opposite in Chicago with Kobe White.
Yeah.
They're giving him all the run. Young man, he's getting all the shots. He's pumping up the volume. Read that Starks article, by the way, on New Life Fantasy, and pump up the volume. He's pumping that volume. I need that volume. You know what? It's just that's what I need, and especially in 12-man, 14-man leagues. I'm sorry, not 14-man, but especially 12-team leagues, 10-team leagues. You gotta find. There's someone else on the waiver wire, a hot free agent that's taking it now in Dynasty, which I'm gonna actually bounce pass it over to Starks about. Dynasty, I don't know. I mean, he's probably a hold in Dynasty format. Yeah. What do you think, Starks?
Yeah, he's definitely a hold in Dynasty formats, just especially you talking about, they might be trying to hold for the future and hope for the best for him. And that's more prefacized. There it goes, LT, in a Dynasty format in that aspect there. And also, the thing about Murray that if there's anything that I do enjoy about him, is he gets those out of position weird stats. And what I mean by that is those rebounds for a guard. Right. So he does definitely pull out. And then obviously those hustle stats as well, too. So the talent is there. It's just about the minutes. The minutes restriction, as you mentioned, LT, was destroying and torpedoing his value right now. Because if he's going to get the minutes on the court and he starts, he'll be fine. Now, he's not a pump up the volume type of player, but he doesn't need that. What he needs is the minutes, is what Jacob, really highlights on. And this is the guy that will give you the strong stats when it comes to rebounds, assists, some steals, and that is really handy for those that are guard. Pretty much getting, if you're going to draft guards and try to get them on a cheap, then he would be one of those guys. And honestly, in a Dynasty format, I would be pretty aggressive of trying to get him. In a redraft format, I don't really I don't want to deal with that headache case. And it's funny because you dropped him in a points league, but it makes sense because it's a very shallow league. Mm-hmm. And honestly, in a 10-man league, he's 81% owned in Yahoo formats. That's hard to stomach to try to hold him and hope for the future, because I'm sure in a 10-man league, there's going to be other players that you could pick up. Now, I will pass you the ball there real quick, Jacob, in a points league real quick. What's your thoughts on him?
Yeah, I mean, if he's missing every third game, I mean, I don't know if it's a trend. Do you want to scroll down there, LT? Oh, okay. Interesting. I don't know why he has missed those games. Maybe because they just keep racking up those L's, as you can see on there. I don't know. And like, they just don't feel the need to play him right now. But yeah, in a points league, man, it is with those rest days. I don't blame LT for dropping him. Mm-hmm. It would just be tough to cut him because of all the talent. And in a points league, I mean, he does get you those boards. He gets you those assists, like you were saying. So it's really tough. And with those steals being worth like 3 points each, I mean, that's rare. I mean, so I would hold on to him for at least one more week. And if the trend continues that he misses every third game, I would cut him. But I need to see that trend keep happening at least one more week for me to cut bait. I don't blame you if you do, but in a points league, those are some valuable stats. So hold on for just a few more games if you can, and try to stream somewhere else.
Nice. Then LT, do you have a player that you want us to at least put our logic on at all?
I actually want to ask you both a question. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if it's a buy low question, but it is an ADP, future ADP question for our listeners. In redraft formats, there is two guys in the top 25 right now. They're both big men. Wasn't expected to be here, but they're here. Who would you rather have right now for the remainder of the season in 9 categories? Holmes on Holmes or Montrezl Harrell?
I'm going to take who do you want to ask that first? I'm sorry.
Oh, no, you're fine. Go ahead, take it, Starks. Take that route.
Okay. Yeah, it's going to be Harrell. Okay. Hark the Harrell sing. I just got to do it that way because it only makes sense because that's not to put shade on Holmes, but we got to think that Bagley is out, right? So that's one thing that still sticks out to me. Marvin Bagley should be back pretty soon, hopefully. So Holmes is getting a lot of shine right now. Mm-hmm. Is it sustainable in a redraft league? I don't think so, but you got to give respect for what is going on right now. He might be someone that could be pretty much on your waiver wire at some point in time this season in a more of a shallow format. That's what my thoughts there. I'll pass you the ball there, Jacob.
Yeah, I mean, you took the words right out of my mouth. I mean, I have to roll with the guy who we know is going to get guaranteed minutes the whole entire season. Now, what's different about Holmes, though, is that he has pushed Dwayne Deadman.
Yeah, good call. Yeah,
say LT. He's a dead man. So, So I think the Kings have found their future center with Bagley at power forward. Now I'm really curious how they're going to blend once Bagley comes back to see if they can play with each other. But Holmes is a true talent. Saying all of that, yes, I would much rather have Harrell just because of the known. Just he's going to get you those boards and points and blocks and great field goal percentage and be consistent. You know what you're going to get with him for the rest of the season. Holmes, you don't know until we see Bagley. So yeah, I'm going to go with Harrell, but it's not an outlandish question. It was a solid question. And they're both, like you said, in the top 25, which is insane. I mean, Richaun Holmes, a guy that was owned in maybe 5% of leagues heading into the season. And now he's almost owned in 70%. He's been a great pickup for you. Absolutely. So he is nothing to sniff at, and definitely hold on to him even when Bagley returns, for sure. But yes, it is Harrell for me, for sure. How about you, LT?
Yeah. I wanted to just kind of see what you guys thought. My answer is Montrezl Harrell as well. But what I wanted to bring light to is that Richaun Holmes is actually right now sitting at 21 on the top, top players in those non-cat category leagues. Over Adebayo, Bam Adebayo, and over Montrezl Harrell. So they're all 21, 22, 23, but Richaun Holmes is holding steady. And his original ADP, which is what stuck out in his preseason ADP, was 278.
Yeah.
So just keep that in mind. Those are the gems, right? Those are those guys you pick up at the end of your draft, or that you pick up that really can change the outlook of your season. And Holmes on Holmes, man, he's building houses, and they ain't bricks. But I'll go ahead and pass it over to you, Starks.
Yeah, real quick on that. And so in redraft leagues, and that's why, of course, I love dynasty leagues, but this is another reason why I do like redraft leagues. And in a sense, is because as Jacob, we talk about the waiver wire in streams, and if you're not getting trades done, if you're not closing the deals in redraft, formats or points leagues, that is as well, you got to be aggressive on that waiver wire. So when someone starts getting hot, you don't want to just be like, oh, it's a facade, because there's a good chance it's a facade, or you might be dreaming Kirby's dreamland, but it could be real. It could be real in that aspect. And if it's real, then you want to just take a stream and pick them up, because you just don't know. Just like, I'll say it like this, and I can come to admit like this. So like Devontae Graham, for instance, this year. Now the first game, it was very unlikely he would do it again. And what I mean by that was one of the games, I think he was like 7 for 9 or something like that, like the first game or two. And he wasn't pumping up the volume yet. You pull it up there. He wasn't pumping up the volume yet. And it was just like, I don't know. He's worth a pickup, right? But it's like, is he going to, was that 6 for 7 and 6 for 9, right? Right. So that's just, I'm really going from the gut memory. So
nice.
That's like, I'm just like, man, I don't know if this is real, but if you're in a shallow league, you got to take that chance sometimes. And even in that aspect, I was like, nah, that doesn't seem real. But as time progressed on, he kept doing a little bit better, taking more shots, taking more responsibility, getting more minutes. And if you snooze, you lose, right? And I admit, like in the redraft format, I snoozed and I lost. And who ended up picking him up? Lewis. And the funny thing is, before Graham was starting to be talked about, it's just like Lewis does those weird pickups, man. And he just be like, hey, Starks, man, look at this guy. And I was like, okay, cool. Like, I don't care, because like I know how you operate in fantasy, but it works for him, right? And it just works in general. So what I'm saying, and long story short, is you got to be a little bit aggressive. If you have spots available on your bench, that you should be able to at least stream that spot. At least have the mentality in the redraft format. Here's your cheat code. The last person on your team should be someone that you can stream, or 2 people at that. That's something you want to get used to doing. Build a superstar team and just worry about the last person on your team to be more of a waiver wire fodder And that way, if you think that way, then you're going to always keep streaming that spot until you hit gold on one of those players. But I'll pass you the ball, Jacob. Is there someone that you want to bring up to us there?
I do want to say with the Holmes versus Harrell argument in a points league, it's not even close because Holmes doesn't offer a lot of stock stats. He offers you points and boards, which is great. But the thing that makes him a top 25 in 9-cat is that he has incredible field goal percentage, which that really doesn't matter in a points league, you know? Yes. So Holmes right now in a points league, he's ranked 68. And Harrell in a points league is ranked 39. So it's not close there in a points league. So that's a little trick for you guys. I mean, I want to go back to Kemba Walker too. Kemba Walker is so much better in a points league than a 9-cat league, even though he's still returning top 25 value because he pumps up that volume. He gets you all those stats, but his field goal percentage, like it wrecks you. You know, I think he's only shooting about 400 right now. So he's definitely not going to help you there, but in a points league, it doesn't matter. He pumps up that volume. He gets you a ton of points, boards, assists, and some, and some stock stats. So that's something to definitely look at in a points league. It's like, that's why I always harped on big men. Big men is what you want because they get you a bunch of points and rebounds, like solid big men. And then those guards who shoot a lot, who are on the court a lot, that's who you want as well too, like pump up the volume like Stark says for sure. So I just wanted to preface, like points league versus a 9-cat. So now as far as moving on to trying to buy low or sell high, I want to bring up a guy, and you guys already know my feelings on him, but you guys seem to have a differing opinion on him than me, and that is Fred VanVleet. He keeps producing, and I keep eating my crow because I keep saying he's going to fall off. The wheels are going to fall off. This is like the first time he's gotten heavy minutes, and the first time he's been a full-time starter. So he's showing up now. Lauri's out, but he's still producing. So I'm going to pass the ball there to you, Starks. Would you try to sell high right now?
Oh man, I'll be honest. This is really tough, man. Because I remember in the beginning of the year, I was saying, yeah, you're going to sell this guy like hotcakes, like honestly. And I know like how Lauri's out right now too. I mean, to be fair, but the steal rate that he's having this year, that's nothing to ignore, right? I mean, not only is he scoring a lot and shooting a lot of threes, man. I think right now, because I was just like, this was like in the beginning of the year, there was like a listener who was like, hey, would you trade, I think it was like Lonzo Ball. Would you trade VanVleet for Lonzo Ball? And I'm just like, man, I think you got to take Ball here. And to be honest with you now, I don't know if, I'm sorry to the listener, and I was wrong. And it's just like, could it change? Yeah, absolutely can change. But what VanVleet is doing is nothing that I can ignore. Do I believe he's a sell high? Yeah, I still think he's someone to sell high on. Yeah. But the question would be for me is like, who could if I'm selling him high, then who would I be able to get back in return? That would be the massive question, because I got to make sure that I'm going to get the right person back. Because honestly, if you were to ask me right now, where do I feel like he's going to finish at? Man, I thought maybe he'd be lucky to finish a top 50, but honestly, that luckiness is out the window right now. I thought maybe this year VanVleet, Fred Flintstone would finish at top 75 at best or better. But honestly, he's going to smash that. He at this point right now, I think it's almost safe to say that he's going to be a top 40 to 35-ish player or better. That's even when Kyle Lowry comes back. So I think I'm convincing myself I'm going to stay put unless I get the right player back in return. I'll pass you the ball there, LT.
Yeah, man. Hey, Starks, looks like we're pedaling in that that Fred Flintstone mobile together, man, with our feet, right? With our, that's how, no motors needed. Fred VanVleet, right? Let me give you guys Sage Eyes outlook on something real quick. Even with Lauri coming back, that rotation, if we remember what we talked about with those Toronto Red, that rotation is tight, very tight. So that means that even though Lauri comes back, VanVleet's he's still just playing his regular minutes, his regular role. He's getting a little bit more extra shooting, shot production, a little more extra shots going up because Lauri's not there. But he's going to be there whether Lauri's there or not, right? Lauri Salt, right? And he's going to be there. He's going to be there whether he's going to be around. He's always going to be there as long as he avoids injury. So I'm a proponent of production, and now that I've seen him produce, you already know that. Now that I've seen him produce and see what he provides, and especially in redraft, because I'm thinking redraft here, those steals and threes, man. You love to see that. You love to see him continue to keep it up, and he's getting the minutes because of that rotation. So I stick with VanVleet as well, man. I'm standing pat, or I'm buying if I can.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a lot of owners who are curious about this because I've been getting a lot of trade questions with him involved in it. Yeah. So there are a lot of people out there, and that's why I wanted to bring that up to you, gentlemen. Because in a points league, he is ranked 20, and in a 9-cat, he's ranked 12. So he's producing all. Yeah, I mean, he's a beast. He's getting 38 minutes a game, and I can see that continuing, like LT said, because of that tight rotation that they have. So, as long as he's getting those minutes, pumping up the volume, his free throw percentage is off the charts. It's over 90%. Like you said, he's making those threes, getting those boards. I mean, absolutely. I mean, like, I think you two have convinced me to stay on him, and I think I would try to even pry him away from an owner who's a little bit worried about Lauri coming back. Like, if you see like Lauri's coming back in 2 games or something, like, I don't know, I don't know if he is. I would just like float that trade to see if they will panic a little because he's producing. So I would definitely look to buy him right now too and stay put, like you said. So I will pass the ball to ULT. Do you have a player for us to sell high or buy low?
I'm gonna give you guys a very interesting question, and it's just give me your opinions.
Love it.
But we gotta take into consideration load management, right? One of those, hate it, right? Do you think Kawhi Leonard ends up in points in 9-cat leagues? Does Kawhi Leonard end up in the top 25 by the end of the year? Or does his missed games, load management, cause him to fall outside of that? Starks.
Oh yeah, you want to call me first? Oh yeah. Oh man, I'm gonna take this shot. Here's my way to dance around the question to make me think at the same time and talk. This is what I was going to say real quick. I don't know if you guys remember. Well, actually, you do remember, LT. I want to say this to Jacob real quick before I answer this. We remember when we were playing that Guess Who game on the Toronto Raptors?
Yes.
LT?
Yeah, I do.
You remember, I was like, who was the best player in Toronto, right?
Yeah.
Right at the ADP currently. You were like, oh, it has to be Pascal, right? But it wasn't. It wasn't Siakam. And it wasn't OG. It was Fred Flintstone VanVleet. And it looks like that's still the case.
Yep.
But I just think that's pretty crazy. But that's where we're at in fantasy. But see how it took me. I took that little time as a cheat code to get back at this question, right? You're like, how's he able to do that, to kind of do that at the same time? Actually, I don't even know. I think
how did he do that?
It's already right. But no, I think Kawhi Leonard, regardless, well, at least I'll say this, in a 9-cat category league, I'll leave the points specialist to Jacob there. But a 9-cat category league, I think he's going to still be inside the top 25 just based off of value alone. because of what Kawhi brings. So although load management, it's going to come his way, there's no dancing around it. I still think he's an inside top 25 as far as value-wise. Now, if you're going to include as far as maybe the rankings for games-wise, that's tough, but I'll still say he'll be inside the top 25. Jacob, I'll pass you the ball there in points leagues, man.
Yep. So, yeah. Thank you, Stark. So in a points league, Leonard will definitely stay in the top 25 just because he gets you everything, even when he gets his load managed. He still produces enough to stay in that range. Like right now, he's currently for the whole season, he's 26 right now, and he's missed like 5 to 7 games, So, and his average in points league, he is ranked number 7. So if he were to just play every game, he would stay well inside the top 10. But that's not. But of course, that's not going to be the case. So, but I do think he winds up somewhere between 20 and 25. It is such a shame because he would be a top 10 player if he played every game. But, you knew what you were getting. Like we keep saying, you knew what you were getting when you drafted him. Even if he fell to you, you knew what you were getting,
People are getting so mad.
People were getting mad, but it's like this was talked about all summer, and you saw it last year. It's like, it's a
fired up over there.
Yeah. I feel for you guys, like he came at you at a value, I'm sure. But in a points league, you shouldn't be fearing, because even if he misses one game, he's going to make it up with the 3 or 2 other games he has that week and be just as good as someone who has 4 games or even 5 games that's like a lesser tier player. So in a points league, I'm not worried at all about him for sure.
Nice.
Okay, nice.
We're going to go ahead, LT.
I was going to say, just to give a little bit of Sage Eyes insight on that question. In points league, like you stated, White Knight, he is 26 right now. But in points leagues, he's actually staying close to that top 25, right? When you drafted him, he's like 12, 13. So, I mean, hoping that he can stay under that 25. Here's the Sage Eyes. In 9 cat categories, he's 41. Right. 41 right now, and he's actually right. Guess who's right behind him clipping at his heels, Starks, your favorite, Al Roker. Al Horford. That's right. He's occupying space right now with Al Horford, Kevin Love. Brandon Ingram is above him in 9 cat categories.
That's interesting.
Robert Covert Ops, our guy, is above him in 9 cat categories. And the only reason why they're above him is because they're playing games. So that's just something to take into consideration, because it's not all about talent. It's also about minutes and the availability and him actually playing and producing on the court. Keep that in mind for later on down the year. Hopefully hopefully that 4-game, 5-game stretch is an anomaly. And he can actually play upwards of 70 plus games, hopefully. But I'll pass it over to you, Starks.
I want to steal the baller from you, LT, if that's okay, Starks. Can you look at what his average would be? Because I believe he's probably a top 10 if you filter that up top. Look at his averages. I'm sure he's.
Oh, I got you.
Yeah, because he's typically in a 9 cat. That's why I was going to steal the ball too.
Okay.
No, you're good. What you're saying. So like that's why I was asking you, LT. Like there's 2 different. It's kind of like 2 questions into one. Because it's like I was set. My answer was per game value, because he's inside the top 12 in the 9 cat category currently right now. But
number 11.
Number 11.
Yeah, exactly, inside the top 12. So in the 9 cat category league, that's what I had my mind logic on. As far as games played, that might be a little bit different there, right? So maybe that's kind of like a 2-edged type of sword, that question. But no, that's still a good question. But I think we should jump into a segment where we're pretty much almost done. I definitely want to get to the Eat Your Crow segment. So I think we all have a player that we can bring up. And I think the player that we're going to bring up, I think we have to just be humble and eat that humble pie and talk about a player. And the person that I'm going to eat my crow on is I guess it's Brandon Ingram, man, this year. And this is hard. This is a hard pill to swallow. Okay. To the listeners out there, I apologize for saying, oh man, sell him high like hotcakes, sell him, I apologize. And because it's just like, this is the guy that you're like, well, is it real? And I'm just saying, I think it's almost real. Obviously Zion Williamson is out. I can keep banging that drum, but honestly, what I've been seeing for this output this guy's putting out, I can't ignore what he's doing, right? He's taking a lot of shots. And I guess what kept me off of him is like, remember when he came in the NBA, they kept trying to do the KD comparison. And that's still not the case. Right. But what is the case is what's improving and what he's doing this year. He looks a lot more comfortable. He's out of LA. So it's almost like the pressure it's kind of off of him in a way because of all the talent, although that team is not really doing well, but he doesn't have that pressure, anymore. It doesn't seem like, look at those averages, 26 points, 7 rebounds, 4 assists. And his free throw percentage, from my understanding, I wish I had everything. I am so limited still. And I promise you listeners, I will be better in that aspect there. But from my understanding, he has improved around a lot of it. Well, gosh, is it right? Hold on. No, I guess that's not right. But I'll get back to it. But he's just improving overall. I think he's been inside the top 25 this year. Mm-hmm. That's not something I ever would imagine even thinking. Now that was more like, oh, you better sell him fast. I've always called this guy, like anybody that I've called a scrub, I called him a scrub. So forgive me, Brandon Ingram. I called him that last year. I said the best he would ever finish in the NBA, like in fantasy. Now that's a scrub in fantasy, not a scrub in the NBA. Because if you're in the NBA, obviously you're a monster, right? Right. But I was thinking like maybe he finishes at the best a top 75, 70-ish player in his career. Nah, man, he's about to beat that and smash that. He could be. I think it's safe to say he's maybe a top 50 player. Obviously, he's inside the top 20. I think even right now, mm-hmm. But I that is still hard for me to fathom and believe that. But I'm still saying I'll admit I'm eating my crow. I will pass you either one of you guys the ball on a player that you want to eat your crow on.
Well, I'll go here. I mean, easy answer would be, like when I admitted earlier that, I'm just going to eat my crow on Fred VanVleet. I've been harping on that sell high drum, but he's been producing. So that's one of them that I will definitely eat here for Thanksgiving as well with the turkey. But another guy that is just not producing, and I really thought he was going to take a huge step forward this year, is Steven Adams. I had extremely high hopes for him, especially in points leagues. I thought that Westbrook was holding him back as far as getting rebounds, and so I thought he was going to be 18 points, 15 rebounds, 3 blocks a game. He was just gonna wreck in points leagues. I had him ranked in the top 40 on my rankings there. I mean, everything was lining up for him, and unfortunately, currently in a points league, he's 125, which I know it has to do with his knee issue. So, but I'm not going to give myself a pass there because even at the beginning of the year, I mean, he didn't produce the way that I thought, and I winded up cutting him pretty early in the 12-man league because it's pretty shallow, and you might as well stream those who are producing. since then, he's been picked up, drop because of his name. And he just he keeps underwhelming. And so, like, people are just sick of it. And I get it. I think, honestly, there is some buy low appeal here, buy extremely low, or just wait for him to get dropped. But I'm definitely going to eat my crow on there because I had high hopes for him, and he's just not producing. Now, hopefully his knee does get better and he can produce. But for now, I'm eating my crow on that, man. So with that, I'm going to pass the ball to LT here and see what kind of crow he's eating.
Oh man! So I'm gonna give our listeners a little insight. I had a first half crow, and then I had a second half crow. Right. So my first half crow has to go to Gordon Hayward.
All right.
And the first half crow, I called him a step slow. Right. I called him washed up in one of our early episodes. I came out guns blazing. I said, man, guns blazing on him. All of a sudden, he's just putting up, pre-Celtics Utah Jazz numbers, right? Utah Jazz G-Hay numbers. That's my guy. It's the weird thing about it, that's my guy, right? He's my dude. I love G-Hay.
All right.
He's my guy. He plays League of Legends like me. He's a cool dude, right? But I came after him. And you know what? He threw some crow my way. You know what I'm saying? So
that's right.
He got injured, unfortunately, but he'll be back. And but he was killing before his injury, so got to eat crow on first half of that. Second half crow, I'm gonna go ahead and this is probably because of an injury, right? But not Drew Brees, right?
Drew Brees.
Drew Bledsoe, right? Drew Bledsoe, and I got confused. I got confused for a second. Drew Bledsoe, but who I really mean is Eric Bledsoe. Eric Bledsoe. 5 days ago, I had to sit there and watch him score 30 on the Blazers, and I sat there and thought to myself, I called this guy a scrub. I said, "Oh, he can't." Just a couple weeks ago, I said, man, he looks washed up. Looks like every time he goes, he just drives in the lane. Doesn't know what to do with it. Doesn't have a shot. Can't shoot threes. Hey, guess what? He can do it all. And he's been doing it all ever since Middleton got hurt. He's been taking that extra responsibility. And, ever since I said that about him, he's been just throwing crows at me. You probably listen to the podcast.
Yeah, he does. He's our biggest fan.
Yeah,
I'm gonna steal the ball though from you real quick. I'm actually gonna team up with you and help you out here because those games that he did, it must have been the games that you've seen that he was destroying after he was giving him a hard time. But honestly, this player was supposed to be like a top 50 player this year. He's not a top 50, at least in an ADP value wise right now. So he's like around the top 95-ish range. So he's actually low-key underperforming currently at this time now. So I think you're kind of safe on the crow for right now on him.
You think so? Because
I think you are a little bit.
I think, man, one of these games, man, I think he had 7. This game where he had 7 points right here, October 30th. Man, I think I went in on him. And then I mean, he was probably underperforming. But I went pretty hard on him, Stark. So I do apologize.
Yeah, you did.
Bledsoe, I do. Drew Bledsoe. I'm sorry.
Drew Bledsoe.
Don't. On the back of a Wheaties box. I get it. You're the man. And I'll pass this rock over to you, Starks.
All right, so we'll kind of get into the clutch shots. I'll the commercial real quick. You guys make sure you go to newlifefantasy.com, join the mailing list. Join as a member. Also, check out the new article. Goodness, I forgot the Thanksgiving awesome article that Jacob, if you could hit the blogs button there, LT, if you guys are looking at the live feed there.
Yeah. Look at that
Fantasy basketball. Yeah, check that out, man. The Fantasy Basketball Dynasty Giving Thanks article Jacob put together. Me and LT had a little bit of juice in this article in particular as well too. So we want to give you guys thanks in that aspect. Scroll down a little bit more. There's another piece of artery there. So you guys check that out from Jacob, man. So it's a beautiful article to give you guys the good Thanksgiving, what we're thankful for. Pretty much we're thankful for what players has been doing as well in our fantasy teams this year. Mm-hmm. It's a beautiful read. I haven't got to touch it yet, but I'm sure it's an excellent work by Jacob. As the White Knight, he puts in a lot of work in these blogs. So please, you guys, check it out. It's definitely worth it. And he doesn't just do this. He's been pumping up the volume on like fantasy football too. So it's not just fantasy football, baseball that we're going to work on too when the season comes around. We love fantasy all year round. I mean, obviously we do the Fantasy Basketball Dynasty redraft points league. So we give you that flavor in a whole lot of different ways in the site. So please make sure you guys support. It's all free in that way. And then at the same time, check out the YouTube channel that LT, like what he's doing right now. He's putting the hard work behind that. So you guys support as well on subscribing, Sub-Zero that subscribe button. Also hit that bell, comment below, give us a thumbs up. It helps us out to continue to grow this brand that we're doing at a pretty much high volume pace. And we're giving you guys daily content. There might be some days that we'll take some time off. I'm assuming, Jacob is going to be taking a little time off. I'm sure LT as well will be too. I might just still squeeze in some episodes throughout the week, even through Thanksgiving. So guys, I'll be here, but you can still reach us at any time. Make sure you guys subscribe to the Take a Ride podcast, write a review, 5-star us, tell your friends, tell your family. We're here and we want to help you guys out. So the clutch shot that I will take, I meant to talk about someone in a dynasty format because we're getting close. We might go a little bit over time, but at least we did well in this episode. The dynasty guy I just want to talk about is Jonathan Isaac real quick. He could have been a player we talked about on a buy low, sell high, but I think we kind of all know how we kind of feel about him. But I'll say this about Isaac and his future. It looks great. Now he's ranked, I believe, in ADP wise, he's inside the top 10. Do I think it's realistic for him to finish in a redraft season this year? Absolutely not. Just because what's pumping up his value is the blocks that he's close to averaging 3. He's at, I believe, 2.9 blocks currently this year. He was a guy was backing up as a breakout player. I didn't expect this, but this is great. If you have him in any of your leagues, I'll be honest with you, it's going to be hard to sell him because it's like you're enjoying these stats. And I can understand when it comes to like selling high on players, you don't want to do it. But if you do, make sure that you get someone great in return. And I would try to get a top 10 player because do I think this is realistic for him to finish inside the top 10? No, but this is beautiful. Now in the dynasty format, I'm going to hold on to him as best that I can because Aaron Gordon, I'm sorry guys, I know you guys kind of like him, but I'm all out on Aaron Gordon. I don't believe he's the answer there. He's just not it. Hopefully he could be better on a different team, but even then, he's just not the guy there. I do apologize. Vooch, hopefully he gets back because I know Vooch, he kicked out the crutches because he's seen Mo Bamba coming out. So I'm sure Vooch is going to try to make sure he gets back, solidify his role that he deserves because he's obviously a really good center. But I think Mo Bamba is a future guy. But going back to Jonathan Isaac in a dynasty format, I think the realistic expectations for him this year is he should be a top 30 player or better this year. And honestly, that's really good. I thought he would be maybe a top 50 player before this season started. But now, I mean, he's already breaking that. For next season, I think in a dynasty format, 2-year span, maybe a top 25 or better. In 3-year span, maybe even top 20 player or better. But he's already a producer at a crazy rate this year now. So that's where I stand on him in a dynasty format. I will pass you the ball, Jacob, if there's someone you want to talk about or if you have – actually, you don't have to talk about anybody. You can just take a clutch shot, brother.
I appreciate that, brother. Yeah, I mean, my clutch shot here is turkey, stuffing, sweet potatoes, corn, man. It's Thanksgiving, and yeah, absolutely. That's right. Yeah. I really hope you guys can check out that article that I wrote, like I had a ton of fun writing it because like I did it in a community fashion to where you, the listeners gave me specific players to touch up on and who you are thankful for. So I really appreciate that, guys, and I appreciate Starks and LT here, like also chiming in. Like I wanted this to be everyone here, like everyone's voice heard, because there's a lot to be thankful for. So I just hope everyone can sit back and just reflect on everything that you are thankful for, like God, family, friends, and fantasy basketball, so just thank you guys so much. Like I'm thankful for you guys. I'm thankful that you guys are listening to us and you are reading our stuff, and and you'll see here in the article, but a loyal listener said that, like he's thankful for us, like for keeping him competitive, and that means the world to us. It makes everything that we do here worth it. So thank you so much for those kind words, and thank you for listening, and thank you for reading. Like we're so blessed to have you guys, and happy Thanksgiving.
Yeah, turkey, baby.
Turkey.
You got a clutch shot, man. That was good, Jacob.
Yeah, that was good, Jacob. And so that's hard to follow up on.
I'm just
gonna echo. I'm just gonna echo Chamber. He said, "Man, thankful for all you guys. Thank you for the listeners and everyone to, accept me here as the wing. I do appreciate that. As we're eating wings, I appreciate being I appreciate being the wing on this podcast and joining you brothers and supporting wherever I can. And I like some of these write-ups I've been kind of running through, and like some of these write-ups, man. Definitely a nice little trifecta. I feel like Kevin Love looks a little out of place, but Kevin Love's just over here, just smiling.
Just chilling
out of Jersey, looking at me, he looks sweet
on an island. That's right.
Yeah, exactly. But that hair
on an island on that low
island. He's ready. But yeah, no. In all seriousness, I appreciate y'all. I thank y'all, and have a wonderful Thanksgiving, listeners. And hey, man, let's win some fantasy matches this week as well.
Yeah.
Yes, let's win some fantasy matches. Again, guys, love you. Everything that was said was heartfelt. It was from the heart from all of us. We love you guys. God bless you guys. With that being said, you're probably going to still see me this week. Well, maybe not see me, but you're still hearing me from the podcast this week. So I'll still give you the happy Thanksgiving, but I want to say with them, all three of us on. So with that being said, you guys have a good evening, morning, afternoon, and take a ride.